as it produces through the House, and in the meantime I commend the bill to the House.
Carol Beaumont.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I follow my colleague Grant Robertson in speaking in favour of the Industry Training and Apprenticeship Amendment Bill. Labor is supporting this bill to Select Committee because we are strong supporters of industry training and apprenticeships, and we would welcome improvements in the system. We would welcome a greater focus on industry training and apprenticeships. We would welcome greater numbers, and certainly have absolutely no question about wanting to ensure quality. Industry training and apprenticeships provides a lead-in to people getting decent jobs, paid decent wages, and provides the important trades and technical skills that this country needs and so sorely lacks at the moment. So Labor is committed to ensuring that New Zealand has a skilled workforce, the skilled workforce that we need. We want to see New Zealanders have jobs and opportunities, and we don't believe this government has truly focused on these areas at all. And the shortage of skilled tradespeople in this country is absolutely criminal. And it is a serious concern. It's one that's been exacerbated by this national government over the last 5 years, failing to invest in apprenticeships and industry training. We export our skilled tradespeople and then we have to import them back again. This is a nonsense, an absolute disgrace. So we do support this bill, and we look forward in Select Committee to discussing how we can really make progress. Industry training is incredibly important. It is about providing the technical and trade skills that this country needs. They're the sort of skills we need in manufacturing. But of course, industry training has been, under this government, the Cinderella of tertiary education. It actually fails generally to even get across the government's radar. And of course, the manufacturing sector itself is languishing. And this is despite the fact that manufacturing is absolutely important, the ability for us to make things in this country. Manufacturing has an important multiplier effect in terms of employment opportunities. The figure that people talk about is 2 or 3 jobs arising from each job in manufacturing. It's very different from the service sector. So we need these skills in trades and technical areas, but they're also not just for manufacturing, but also for our building and rebuilding, for the housing that this country so sorely is lacking, particularly in Auckland and Christchurch, where there is an absolute shortage of housing for our people. So skills in trades and technical areas are important to be able to deliver that, and infrastructure development, and rebuilding Christchurch, and yet we have these huge skills gaps at the moment. And investing in industry training and apprenticeships will provide jobs for New Zealanders, and as I've said already, instead, at the moment, we've exported so many of our trades and technical people. They're over in Australia, hundreds of thousands of them. And we've replaced them. We've had the nonsense of having to import skilled people to work on the Christchurch rebuild because the government failed to take the opportunity after the earthquake and realise we were going to need more people in construction, for example. So at a time when we've got high unemployment, especially around young people, we've got major skills and training deficits. It's just a nonsense. So the other important factor about investing in industry training and in apprenticeships is that it does lift productivity. There is just countless pieces of research that show that investing in training at the workplace level, investing in that technical training that is needed on the job, actually lifts productivity in our workplaces. And certainly we sorely need that. So that's the context that this bill presents itself to the House, and those are the sorts of questions we will be looking at this bill in terms of. Now, it's also important that industry training and apprenticeships provide people who aren't going through our university sector with real qualifications that mean something, that provide them with employment security, because we know that in a modern economy, jobs will change fairly rapidly, and that the idea potentially of job security is actually one that is very outdated. But we do need to look at investing in training so that people have employment security, that they have skills that are transferable and portable. So what's the government's record in this area? Well, I recall in the last term of this national government that they started off fairly early on in the piece, and I think it was actually when the member opposite, Kate Wilkinson, was the minister, she was part of scrapping the skills strategy, because we don't believe in actually having a plan. The government doesn't believe in having a plan about what skills we might need in our economy. So there was an agreed skills strategy. Business, unions, government agencies, industry training organisations had got together and said, here's a plan, here's what we need. But no, the government coming in said, oh no, that was the previous government, we'll scrap that. We won't bother actually trying to build a consensus around this issue, we'll just ignore it. So I have to say that was a major sign of what was to come. And of course, the national government have taken money from industry training and put it into other parts of the tertiary sector. Now, I have no problem in funding our universities and our polytechnics properly. We need to do that, but we need to invest money in industry training, and this government ripped money out of that part of tertiary education and put it elsewhere. And when unemployment is at such a high level, providing training and skills opportunities for young people in trades and technical areas is a really important pathway forward. Now, I even noticed that the regulatory impact statement actually had quite a good analysis on the rationale for government involvement in industry training, and I just want to take a second to talk about some of the things that they identify there, because they recognise that investment in this part of the tertiary education sector has a number of what they call spillover benefits, and that there are improved not only employment outcomes that I've already mentioned, but flow-on benefits to things like improved health outcomes and improved child development outcomes, because this is a way of investing potentially in people who haven't necessarily done that well in the academic streams in their schooling life, haven't gone on necessarily into a tertiary education institution, but actually want to learn the technical skills for their employment. So I just wanted to acknowledge that that is recorded in the regulatory impact statement. Now, my colleague Grant Robertson talked about the fact that this bill does mention in clause 11 provisions around priority groups. It specifically talks about Māori and Pacific workers, and no problem there across this side of the House. But the shame at the moment is the situation around women in industry training. It is absolutely appalling. The percentage of industry training, the percentage of women as industry trainees has dropped over the last few years. So it was 30% in 2010 and down now to 28% this year. And when you break it down by industry, it becomes even more shocking. So we've got a pool of over 50% of our population who are not being targeted to move into industry training, to get those crucial trades and technical skills. So, building and construction, 1% of the trainees in building and construction are women. In joinery, it's 6%. In electrical supply, it's 7%. In the motor industry, it's 3%. In infrastructure, 6%. This is just appalling. And this is coming from a government that says, well, we're not going to do anything about revaluing the occupations where women are concentrated, like aged care. We don't believe that those workers are low paid or undervalued. The real solution, says the government, is to move women into higher paid jobs. Well, I have to say, the record on industry training doesn't show a great deal of movement of women out of industries like aged care, which does need valuing properly, and into better paid trades jobs. So you'd have to say that's a big fail. and there is nothing going on there. The Minister's best attempt was to say the Ministry of Women's Affairs working on it. Well, I think that's a research project and a leaflet. Thank you.
David Clendon.
Speaker. I think it's fair to say this industry training and apprenticeships amendment bill has come to the House not a moment too soon.